The galaxy was old. Very old. Stars burned for millions of years, and planets drifted in silence between them. Entire civilizations rose and fell. Some left nothing behind. Some left ruins that glowed in the dark void. Among these ancient powers, the Alari Empire stood supreme. They were smart, fast, and cruel. Their ships could travel light years in days. Their weapons could melt mountains from orbit. No one had ever dared challenge them. The Alari diplomat, Lirith, had once ruled a peaceful world. His people built great cities that touched the sky. Their gardens floated above oceans. Their children played among crystal towers. Lirith believed they were safe, untouchable. But the universe had other plans. A shadow came from outside the known stars. A fleet appeared without warning. Its shapes were strange. Its colors burned the eyes. Lirith watched as his armies scrambled. His cities shook. His people screamed. Nothing could stop the fire. Planet after planet fell. The Alari Empire crumbled in days that felt like hours. Lirith tried to fight. His strategies were perfect on paper. His soldiers were the best trained. But the shadow was not like anything he had seen. It moved like a storm. It struck like a predator. His weapons failed. His shields cracked. Lirith's pride became dust. He flew over his homeworld, hoping to save something. Smoke rose in black clouds. Oceans boiled. Towers cracked and fell. Children ran through streets that were no longer there. Mothers cried, holding nothing but air. Lirith felt a pain he had never known. He felt fear. Real fear. Not the cold fear of losing battles, but the deep, endless fear of losing everything he loved. He remembered the counsel of his people, proud and confident. They had laughed at distant planets, mocking weak civilizations. They had looked down on humans, little creatures who barely left their world. Insignificant, they had said. Weak. Nothing to fear. Now, Lirith wondered if any creature mattered at all. He thought of humans, tiny and fragile, barely a speck in the vast galaxy. And yet, something inside him whispered that even they might survive what he could not. The shadow moved closer. Its engines burned the sky. Lirith watched as his fleet disintegrated under its fire. He tried to call for reinforcements, but no one answered. His signals bounced into silence. His world fell into chaos. Amid the destruction, Lirith noticed something strange. A small pattern in the attacks. Not random. Calculated. Intelligent. But different. Not Alari. Not like any known species. Something new. Something unknown. His heart raced. Could it be life? Could something survive this fire? Could something challenge the universe itself? For the first time, Lirith did not know what would happen next. His empire was gone. His people were dying. And somewhere, hidden in the shadows, a new force waited. He did not know it yet. But humans would soon cross his path. And when they did, nothing would ever be the same. The planet cracked under the weight of the fires. Lirith clung to his last ship. Outside, the stars seemed to watch, silent and endless. He pushed his vessel into the void, leaving everything behind. Behind him, the empire was ash. Ahead, the unknown waited. And then he saw it. Something moving in the distance. Small. Tiny. But alive. Unseen by the shadow that destroyed everything. A spark. A flicker of life that should have been nothing. And in that spark, Lirith felt a chill. Something about it made his mind twist. Something told him this was only the beginning. The universe was no longer safe. The galaxy had fallen into silence. Smoke still drifted from destroyed worlds. Lirith's eyes scanned the stars, searching for any clue of what had caused the shadow. He had lost everything, yet he survived. Pain burned in his chest. Fear lingered like a shadow. But the diplomat still moved. He still thought. Far from the ruins, on a tiny, blue planet, humans lived their quiet, ordinary lives. They had no great fleets. No powerful weapons. No floating cities. Their ships barely left their solar system. To the galaxy, they were nothing. Weak. Insignificant. Almost invisible. Yet humans were stubborn. They adapted. They endured. On this world, storms tore through cities, yet humans rebuilt. Disease struck, yet they survived. Death came, yet they refused to stop. Their lives were fragile, but their hearts were strong. Lirith's sensors detected a flicker of life far below, on the blue planet. It was tiny. Insignificant by any measure. Yet it moved with purpose. Something about it resisted. Lirith could not understand. No species had survived what the shadow brought. None. And yet this human endured. The human moved carefully. They did not fight alone, but together. They shared knowledge, shared pain, and shared hope. Lirith watched as the human fixed broken machines, rebuilt shelters, and helped others survive. Each action was small, almost meaningless on a galactic scale. But together, it formed something alien: determination. The diplomat's mind raced. How could such a fragile species survive when the galaxy's strongest fell? Lirith realized he had underestimated humans. Not their weapons. Not their fleets. Their hearts. Their refusal to give up. Their stubbornness. The shadow that had destroyed his empire loomed closer again. Signals from distant stars carried whispers of fear. Entire systems panicked. Yet humans did not stop. They acted against impossible odds. They endured storms, hunger, and fear. And still, they moved forward. A subtle pattern emerged. Lirith watched humans communicate in ways he could barely measure. They adapted, they learned, they predicted. Even a simple human tool, a small ship or a handheld device, became deadly when used with their cleverness. Lirith had fought empires with millions of ships. But humans? Humans were unpredictable. One human risked everything to climb a ruined tower, carrying a fragile device. The diplomat's scanners could not explain why they acted so boldly. Pain did not stop them. Fear did not stop them. Death was not final in their minds, they simply moved forward, again and again. Lirith felt a chill. The galaxy had always been orderly. Predictable. Controlled by intelligence, fleets, and strategy. But humans were different. They refused rules, refused fear, refused limits. In that tiny, fragile species, Lirith saw the spark of something the galaxy had never known. Then the unexpected happened. A strange signal pulsed from the human device. It was weak. Barely detectable. Yet it interfered with the shadow's tracking systems. One small human had created a ripple, a flicker of resistance, that even the shadow could not ignore. Lirith's eyes widened. A thought he had never considered crept into his mind: what if humans were not weak? What if they were dangerous? The galaxy had dismissed them. The Allery had laughed at them. Other species ignored them. And yet, here they were. Tiny sparks of life moving against impossible odds, surviving when nothing else could. Lirith did not understand it yet. He did not know how humans would change the coming war, or if they could survive what was coming next. But he knew one thing: the galaxy's balance was shifting. Something small, fragile, and human was about to make its mark. And far beyond the blue planet, the shadow waited, unaware that a tiny flicker of life might be its first real threat. The universe held its breath. The shadow moved closer to the blue planet. It was a force unlike anything humans had ever seen. Ships larger than cities, weapons that could melt mountains, energy that burned like the heart of a star. From orbit, the planet trembled. Oceans roared. Cities shook. Humans ran. Lirith watched silently. His sensors tracked the humans as they scrambled to survive. They were still small, still weak, still insignificant by galactic standards. Yet he noticed something strange. They did not freeze. They did not give in. Even as buildings fell and fires spread, they acted. They moved together, repaired what they could, saved what they could. They adapted. One human lifted a piece of wreckage from the rubble. Another ran into a collapsing street to pull someone free. Simple acts. Fragile lives. But Lirith felt a stirring in his mind he had never felt before. Persistence. Stubbornness. Courage. Something beyond technology. Beyond strategy. The shadow struck again. Cities burned. Machines failed. Communication was lost. Lirith saw humans suffer in ways no species could endure. Hunger, injury, fear, loss of loved ones, pain tore at them like the storms tearing through their world. Many fell. Many would not survive. But still, they moved. One human climbed a ruined tower, scanning the skies. The shadow's fleet was vast. No defense could hold. And yet the human found weaknesses, small flaws in timing, in approach, in weapon patterns. Lirith could not explain it. Humans did not rely on shields, or fleets, or weapons. They relied on something else. A spark. A mind that refused to stop. The shadow began to notice. Its attacks became sharper, more precise. It struck harder, faster. Yet humans did not surrender. They adapted. They used the ruins, the wreckage, even their fear, to survive. They moved through chaos, finding ways where none should exist. Lirith's sensors captured something else. Humans worked in groups, using simple tools in ways no algorithm could predict. They repaired broken machines with scraps. They communicated with gestures, signals, and sounds. Every failure taught them something. Every loss became strength. And yet, the shadow's force was relentless. Ships descended like storms. Cities shattered. Fires spread. Humans screamed, fought, and ran. Pain carved lines into their faces. Fear burned in their hearts. Many fell, crushed under the weight of the impossible. Still, they moved forward. Lirith realized something dangerous. These humans, these tiny, fragile creatures, were not stopping. The shadow may have crushed worlds, but the humans refused to give in. Every human who survived became smarter, faster, stronger in will. Every failure became a lesson. Every tear became fire. Then it happened. A small human ship rose from the ruins. Barely functional. Fragile. Too weak to fight. And yet it moved directly toward the Shadow fleet, carrying a device no one had seen before. Its engines sputtered. Sparks flew. Yet it advanced. Lirith could not understand. The galaxy's strongest had fallen before the Shadow. Humans were insignificant. They should have vanished in hours. And yet, this one moved forward. Alone. Against impossible odds. The Shadow noticed. Its weapons turned. Its fire struck the human ship. Sparks and flames erupted. It seemed impossible for the fragile craft to survive. And yet it did. The universe seemed to pause. Something in these humans refused to die. Something in them turned suffering into strength. Lirith's mind raced. He had underestimated them. He had laughed at them once. Now, he wondered if the humans were the galaxy's first real threat to the Shadow. The human ship approached the fleet's weak point. And in that moment, Lirith realized the first truth: the galaxy had never faced beings who could turn pain into power, who could refuse death itself, who could survive when everything else fell. The Shadow struck again. The human ship faltered. Sparks flew. But the human pilot kept moving forward. And then, something impossible happened. A faint signal pulsed from the tiny ship. Weak, almost invisible, yet it disrupted the Shadow's targeting systems. One small human had changed the battle. One fragile life had found a way to fight when all others would die. Lirith's sensors could not hide it. Something new had begun. Something the galaxy had never seen. Humans had entered the war. And the Shadow did not know what was coming. The galaxy watched. Systems across light years trembled at the Shadow's attack. Great fleets fell in hours. Ancient civilizations whispered prayers they had long forgotten. And yet, humans survived. From orbit, the diplomats of alien worlds laughed. Pathetic, they said. Insignificant. Weak. They are barely alive. They cannot even fight properly. Even Lirith felt their scorn. He had once dismissed humans himself, thinking them fragile, irrelevant. And yet, humans did not stop. The small blue planet was scarred. Fires burned for days. Cities were rubble. Oceans boiled and storms tore the land. Yet humans moved like a current, repairing what they could, protecting what remained, saving one another when no one else would. Alien observers saw the chaos and shook their heads. They expected humans to collapse, to surrender. They did not. They watched humans climb towers, crawl through ruins, carry supplies, and tend to the injured. Nothing heroic by alien standards, no ships, no weapons, but something else. Something they could not calculate. Determination. Refusal to die. Lirith's sensors focused on a group of humans coordinating an escape from the Shadow's strikes. They used simple machines in ways no alien engineer could predict. Broken engines were repaired with scraps. Ruined tools were combined to create new devices. Every human knew a task, yet each acted with independent thought. No algorithm could control them, no AI could predict them. The aliens laughed louder. They are weak, scattered, and disorganized. They are nothing. And the humans kept moving. A small human ship lifted off from the planet, carrying a team and a fragile-looking device. Its engines sputtered. Metal bent under the heat of re-entry. Sparks flew from its hull. The alien fleets targeted it immediately. To anyone watching, it should have exploded within seconds. It did not. The ship wobbled, shuddered, but held together. The humans aboard did not panic. Every flicker of damage was analyzed, every danger predicted and worked around. Their courage burned brighter than the fires around them. Their stubbornness became a weapon. The ship navigated through the shadow fleet like a ghost. Lyritha's sensors picked up signals from the human device. Weak. Tiny. But effective. A ripple of interference spread through the shadow's systems. One small human crew had disrupted the fleet. One fragile species had bent the rules of war in ways the aliens could not imagine. The alien diplomat scoffed. They could not understand how such insignificant creatures caused even minor disruptions. They are lucky, they said. Nothing more. But Lyrith was silent. He had seen enough. Luck could not explain this. Humans were learning. Humans were adapting. Every moment of suffering, every near-death experience, made them smarter, faster, stronger in will. A spark of fear entered the alien minds. Perhaps they had misjudged humans. Perhaps weakness did not mean harmlessness. Perhaps one small spark could ignite something the galaxy had never seen. The humans on the blue planet kept moving, repairing, running, surviving. And far beyond, Lyrith realized the first truth: the galaxy's ancient calculations had missed something vital. Humans were unpredictable. Humans could endure when all else fell. Humans could turn pain into power. The Shadow Fleet advanced, ready to crush the humans entirely. Alien laughter echoed through the void. Yet humans moved with stubborn precision, ready to face the impossible. And in the midst of it all, one human device pulsed again. A faint signal, almost invisible. But it touched every system in the Shadow Fleet, creating chaos where there should have been none. The aliens did not understand it. They could not explain it. And that was the first sign of danger. The galaxy had dismissed humans. It had underestimated them. And humans were only beginning. The Shadow Fleet was massive. It stretched across the sky like a black storm. Planets trembled beneath its engines. Its weapons burned with the heat of dying suns. Every alien fleet in the galaxy had fallen before it. And yet, the humans moved forward. The small human ship rose from the ruined planet. Sparks flew from its hull. Engines groaned. Metal twisted. Every alien who watched thought it was doomed. Every sensor said it would fail. Every calculation said humans would die. But humans do not live by calculations. Humans live by stubbornness. By courage. By the refusal to surrender. Inside the ship, the human crew worked tirelessly. They repaired what was broken, predicted every strike, and used the Shadow's own technology against them. Every failure taught them a new trick. Every danger became a weapon. Pain became power. Fear became focus. Lyrith watched in disbelief. He had faced civilizations older and stronger than humans. He had seen fleets with millions of ships destroyed. And yet these fragile creatures were doing what no one else had done, surviving, adapting, and fighting back. The human device pulsed again, stronger this time. A wave of energy spread through the Shadow Fleet, disabling weapons, confusing sensors, breaking formations. One tiny ship had turned the tide. The aliens panicked. Impossible, they shouted. It is only a human. Humans did not shout. They acted. They moved with precision, with daring, with the kind of stubborn courage that no machine could predict. One by one, the Shadow's ships faltered. Weapons overheated. Engines stalled. Their perfect strategy collapsed. Lirith realized the truth. Humans had something no alien possessed: the refusal to give up, the courage to face death without fear, and the intelligence to learn from every mistake. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. The human ship struck at the Shadow's command vessel. Weak, fragile, almost destroyed. And yet it reached its target. The device activated fully. A pulse of energy spread across the Shadow fleet, disabling every ship in its path. The command vessel faltered. The Shadow's forces became disorganized. The humans pressed their advantage. They did not stop. They adapted, striking where no one expected, using every weakness they could find. Every moment of suffering had made them stronger. Every loss had sharpened their resolve. Pain had become their weapon. Stubbornness had become their shield. The Shadow fleet fell apart. Ships collided. Weapons exploded. Stars themselves seemed to recoil from the force of human defiance. And in the center of it all, the small human ship remained. Scarred. Burned. Yet unstoppable. Lirith felt a chill. The galaxy had never underestimated a species like this. The humans had survived where others had perished. The humans had turned the impossible into victory. And the Shadow was broken. But the victory was not complete. The Shadow may have fallen this day, but it had left scars across the galaxy. And humans had only begun to show what they could do. For the first time, Lirith spoke silently to himself: the galaxy will never be the same. Humans are not weak. Humans are not insignificant. Humans are dangerous. And far across the stars, unknown and unseen, the remnants of the Shadow fleet stirred. Something worse was coming. And the humans would have to face it. But for now, the galaxy watched in awe. Humans had won. And the universe would never forget. The Shadow fleet was gone. Smoke drifted through the void. Planets slowly cooled from the fires that had scarred them. Across the galaxy, civilizations peeked from hiding, watching the tiny human ship that had survived when all others fell. Lirith drifted in silence. He had lost his empire, yet he had gained understanding. Humans were not what he thought. They were not weak. Not fragile. Not insignificant. They were cunning, stubborn, and unbreakable. They had survived the impossible, turned suffering into strength, and outsmarted forces that had destroyed empires. The galaxy began to notice. Alien diplomats whispered in awe and fear. They are dangerous, some said. We cannot predict them. Others shook their heads in disbelief. How can such a fragile species survive against the Shadow? Humans did not celebrate loudly. They were tired. Scarred. Some had lost everything. Yet they rebuilt, helped one another, and prepared for the future. Pain had not broken them. Fear had not stopped them. Death had not ended them. Humans moved forward. Lirith watched as the humans repaired their ships, healed the wounded, and repaired what little remained of their world. Every act was small, but together they formed something the galaxy had never seen: a species that refused to surrender. A species that turned weakness into power, and suffering into advantage. Across the stars, rumors began. Stories of humans surviving the Shadow spread from system to system. Whispers of their courage reached the ears of alien leaders. Some laughed nervously. Some plotted. All of them reconsidered the calculations they had once made about humanity. Humans had become more than survivors. They had become a force to be feared and respected. Their victories were not loud or flashy. They did not rely on fleets or ancient technologies or alien strategies. They relied on heart, on stubbornness, on the refusal to die when death was expected. Lirith understood now what he had overlooked. Humans were unpredictable. They could endure when all else failed. They could adapt, learn, and survive in ways the galaxy could not calculate. They were a spark in the darkness that could not be ignored. And yet, the universe remained vast and dangerous. The shadow had been defeated, but remnants lingered. Other threats waited beyond the known stars. Lirith knew that the humans had only begun to test their strength, only begun to shape their place in the galaxy. A faint pulse of light appeared in the distance. Not a star. Not a ship. Something small, moving steadily. Lirith's sensors tracked it. Humans would see it soon. Perhaps it was the next challenge. Perhaps it was the next enemy. Perhaps it was the start of something greater. For now, humanity had survived. Humanity had won. And the galaxy would never forget the day the weak, fragile, underestimated species became a force that could change the stars themselves. The universe had shifted. The balance had changed. And the humans were ready.